Hi there, this is Tanya, and welcome to episode 2, Rediscovering Fire and Digging for Your Purpose. Are you brave enough to admit what you really want in life? We are conditioned to want what we think we can get instead of wanting what we actually want. Because if we really admitted what we really want and we didn't get it, it would be horribly painful, and therefore it's easier to pretend that we don't want it at all and just keep it in the back of our heads as a regret that, I'm too old for this, I'm too young for that. The excuses are a perfect way to stay away from what you really want in life. And that way we shrink so that we can feel safer. So this week we're really going to look at a process that will help you figure out what are your passions. What is it that you really secretly want? And then look at how that fits with your skills and how that fits with what the world needs and what you can get paid for and how that fits with your values. So we're going to have fun today. So do you already have an idea of what you want to do? Do you want to start your own business? Do you want to switch industries? Do you want a complete overhaul and start in a completely new profession? Oftentimes when we make decisions not from what's possible, but what's feasible. So we think about, okay, for example, for me, I studied finance not because I hate math actually. I do not like numbers, but I picked finance because I figured, okay, that's where I can get a secure income. That's where that's going to be something that will pay well. And the other side of that coin is sometimes we pick professions where we get to do what we absolutely love, but we don't get paid for it, and then we struggle. So I've been in both positions. And so I've had, as I mentioned earlier, I used to be an investment banker. I was in finance world and I was making great money, but I wasn't happy. And on the other side of the coin, I've been a songwriter and I absolutely love it and it's a passion of mine. But being a songwriter these days, unless you have a row of top number one hits, it's very hard to make a living being a songwriter. So I've seen both sides of this coin, and therefore it was super interesting for me to go through this process that we're about to go through right now. Because we really don't have to compromise. We think we do, but we don't. But it just takes some deep internal work to figure out, okay, what is that thing that fits in all of the categories that we're going to talk about now. So we're going to talk about the treasure map that is the Japanese philosophy of Ikigai. Ikigai translates to life's purpose or reason for being. And it is the intersection of the 4 areas of doing what you love, doing what you're good at, doing what the world needs, and doing what you can get paid for. And once you find something that fits in all of these 4 areas, then you got something. Then you got a special. That's your special, unique skill that you bring to the world. And Ikigai is not an end result or a goal. It's actually a verb. It's an action. So it's to serve, to create, to delight, to nourish, to provide, to teach, to heal, to connect, to build. So it's an action. So let's go through the traditional categories of Ikigai, and then I added a couple of other ones that in my mind, we're missing from the 4 pillars of Ikigai. So we're going to add those additional pillars into it, and let's see where we get. And what I would recommend you do is I would recommend you print out the attachment to the email that you got with this video so that you can follow along with the questions, and you can also take notes for yourself on what are your answers to the questions that we're going to go through. So the first pillar of Ikigai or your reason for being is passion. And this is super important because if there is no passion in what you're doing, you get bored and you quit before you ever have a chance of becoming good at it or successful at it. So passion is really key, number one in here. And we're going to peel this passion, we're going to peel it back in layers like a little onion, because the deeper you go, the more you will actually get to the desires you don't admit that you have, or the things that you're trying to push away because they're too scary. But let's start with the easier stuff. So I'm going to go through a series of questions, and I'm going to read the questions, and I want you to think about the responses for yourself. And then I'm going to give you kind of an idea of what they are for me, so that you have an example that you maybe follow. So think about, we're taking the passions from adult perspective. So right now, as an adult, or whatever age you happen to be right now, what do you love doing? What topics are you passionate about? What would you do if it was absolutely guaranteed that you could not fail? What gives you energy? When you do that thing, you basically forget to eat, you forget time, and basically time disappears when you're doing that thing. What excites you about the world or about people? Are there any causes that you strongly believe in? If you have all the time and the money in the world, what would you do? What are your favorite topics of conversation? What do you do if you get to decide what to spend your time on? What kinds of books do you read? If you look at your week, what did you do when you had extra time and you got to decide what to do with that time? What are the things that you've always been interested in? What is that thing you've never gotten bored of doing? And what gets you in the flow so that you forget to eat and drink and sometimes even go to the bathroom? And these are things you love to do. You don't have to be good at them, but you just love doing it. You love the process of doing it. So for me, for example, I love baking. I hate cooking, but I love baking. I love reading. I love doing videos. I love inventing crazy things and new businesses and putting ideas that shouldn't belong together. I love songwriting. Oopsie. So for me, what I love doing is I love baking, I love reading, I love doing videos. I love combining crazy things and inventing new businesses. And sometimes the ideas are absolutely crazy. People who know me know that. And sometimes they're like, oh, never thought of that. Why hasn't somebody already done that? I also love songwriting and creating something from scratch. I love adventures. I love traveling and living in different countries. And I love learning and trying anything new. And I love self-improvement. I'm a self-improvement junkie. So then, let's take that one step further. We're going to look at your kid perspective. So imagine, I want you to think back to when you were between 6 and 11 or 12 years old, or 7 and 11, somewhere there. So think about, what did you love to do when you were between 7 and 11 years old? What did you spend your time doing when you had free time and you could choose what to do? What were you naturally good at as a child or a teenager? And be super specific about this, especially what you used to do as a kid, because that's when your true passions were really there, and you were engaging in your true passions before you decided it was too scary and stopped doing them, which happens to a lot of us. So your second list is going to be the passions and the things that you did when you were a kid, the things that you absolutely love doing. So for me, For example, I was baking all the time. I was playing piano all the time. I was always the MC or an actor in our school plays. I was singing. I was writing poems. I was making dresses and clothing for myself. I was sewing. I was reading all the time, and I knew everybody, and I was always smiling. And I was obsessed with learning English and then other languages after that. But always, language was always something that I was fascinated by. So that's the kid perspective of our passion. So then we're going to get to an area that is, to me, is missing in the Japanese art of Ikigai, and that is the things that we haven't tried yet. Because there are things, if we haven't tried something, we don't know if we are good at it. We don't know if we like it. So we really can't tell whether it should belong to our list of passions or not, because we haven't tried it yet. So I wanted to add this column in this conversation so that we also get to think about, okay, what are the things that we always wanted to try but we never really took the time to try, so that we can see whether there might be something that we haven't tried yet that we might be really good at and we might love doing, which then means that should definitely be on our list of things to explore further. So here are the questions you should ask. If you had to pick up a new hobby, what would that be? What have you always dreamed about doing but never gave yourself the permission to try because either you were too young or too old or too short or too tall or whatever excuse you have? What was something that you really wanted to do but you never allowed yourself to try it, or you somehow never got to it? What 3 careers, businesses, or ways of living would you like to try? And what elements do you like from each? And what have you always wanted to try but haven't yet tried? So for me, a couple of years ago, I tried scuba diving for the first time. It was okay. A couple of months ago, I tried voiceovers, and that is an interesting area. I'm going to keep on playing around with that. About a month ago, I started shooting videos, and I really liked it. And I had never done it before, so I didn't know whether I would like it, whether I would be good at it. But I'm realizing I really like it. I started a YouTube channel about a month ago, and I really like that too. It's fascinating to me. I am currently creating this online class, and I'm loving creating the content. I'm loving shooting the content, and it's just like, oh my God, I get to create. I love it. And then in the category of what have I not allowed myself to want is what I was doing as a kid was acting. And I have not allowed myself to want that in a long, long, long time. And it is something that I really feel like it is something that I do want to try. I also have not allowed myself to sing in a long, long time. So, or perform in front of people. So those 3 things are like, they feel big and scary. And also performing and speaking in front of people. So both of those feel like big and scary things that at the same time make me feel secretly excited. So they have to be on the list that we're creating for me. So think about what those things would be for you. And the next category that is also missing from the original Ikigai is inspiration and thinking about who inspires you. Because oftentimes our most secret desires come to surface when we look at who inspires us and why. So think about this question: who inspires you and why? So you can think about celebrities, musicians, actors, authors, poets, athletes, leaders, friends, etc. Who inspires you and why? Who are you jealous of? Whose life would you love to have? And who is your role model? So for me personally, for example, Tony Robbins has always been it. He has impacted my life ever since I was in my early 20s. And the fact that he can create change in people like that is amazing. And you can see that he's living his passion, and he has impacted millions of people worldwide. And that to me is like, oh, I want that. I want that. The other person that is on my list is Janis Joplin. And the reason she is on my list because she is full of self-expression, full of raw emotion. And she really doesn't, when she's performing, she's fully there, and the rest of the world doesn't exist. She is fully expressing herself. And that to me is something I don't let myself do. And therefore I admire that in her. And I want that. I want that. Secretly. There. It's out. So, those were the areas of your passions as an adult, passions as a kid. What is it that you've always wanted to try but you haven't let yourself try yet? Who inspires you? And what are the things that inspire you in other people? And then the last area in the passion, last question we're going to ask is, what regrets do you have? What do you regret not fully having done yet, or not having been yet? And then if you could start your life over again, what would you do this time? And remember, it's never too late to get started again. So we're going to start now. So add that to your list of questions and make sure that you have the answers to the now 5 categories that we've gone through for yourself. So then we are going to move on to the next pillar of the Ikigai, which is the skills. So for the most part, actually, there's two parts to the skills equation. There's the skills, there's like the technical skills that you probably went to school for and studied. And then there's the way you do things, your mental and emotional skills. So the questions you should ask yourself in this category of skills is, what are the things that you studied or went to school for? What are the things you're naturally good at? What do your friends ask you for advice on? What do your friends think you're good at? And go ahead and ask them. When I asked my friends, I got some unexpected answers that I didn't even think about, so that was awesome. If you had to teach something, what would that be? And what do people come and ask your advice on? And also in this area, we're going to ask, or we're going to include challenges that you overcame, because we've all gone through life lessons and challenges and maybe divorces, illnesses, whatever, that we had to deal with, and we overcame them. So adversities you overcame, because there might be something in there that you don't even realize you have a skill because you didn't study it, but you learned it through life and life experience. So it's also important to put that down, because oftentimes you can find gold in the life experiences that you've gone through, and you realize, I can help tons of people who are going through the situation that I went through 10 years ago. And that might be something that you incorporate into what you do in your life from now on. So for me, if I look at my skills, so thinking outside of the box, I have an MBA in finance and did 15 years of investment banking. So finance and accounting, I'm good. Financial models and writing and analyzing business plans, reviewing legal documents, doing due diligence. I went to Berklee College of Music, so I studied songwriting, music production, and engineering. I played piano, I sang, and then Right now I'm getting into voiceover production, and I'm loving it because I studied audio production, so that is a complementary skill there. And I am good at massage therapy and helping people out of pain, and I'm really good at baking. And I'm also good at seeing different perspectives and pointing out a different way to seeing an issue or a problem. So those were on the section or the leg of skills. So we've gone through the passions, we've gone through the skills. So now let's go through what can we get paid for. So that is the next leg of the Ikigai. So the first question to ask in this area is, what have you been paid for before? So for me, it's like songwriting, finance, massage. What specialized knowledge or life experience do you have that you might be able to monetize? And then in this area is also what's happening in the outside world right now and what opportunities are emerging in the economies. What is shifting in the culture today? What is trending? And so, for example, right now with COVID-19, businesses are moving online. So people need to learn how to operate online if they haven't already. Another trend that is happening, people won't be needed in the office as much as they were before the crisis, because now everybody has been working from home for a couple of months and it feels like, oh, you know what? Maybe not everybody has to come to the office every single day like we used to. So much more work will be happening from home, which will then increase the demand for like online communication like Zoom, remote working skills, and the discipline to work from home. Telecommuting will be increasing. E-learning is going to be increasing because people will be looking to learn new skills, and people will be doing more of their learning, especially with the price of universities these days. People will be doing more of their learning from home because that is more affordable and more accessible, frankly. Other trends are happening in the economy. Automation is speeding up. Artificial intelligence will be coming and taking over some professions in the next 5-10 years, maybe sooner. So some industries will be feeling the impact of that. This is also the era of entrepreneurs and innovation. With communication and entertainment, much of that is also going to be moving online, especially right now when we can't really have large gatherings and we're still kind of like stuck at home a little bit. So those were the things that you should be thinking about when you're thinking about what can you get paid for. So think about what have you been paid for before, and then compare the skills that you have to what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the industries that you're interested in or you are in, and see what trends and what developments are happening so that you can see what are the emerging trends, where is the need in these markets going to be in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. The last leg of the Ikigai is, what does the world need? And this is, I know it's a big question, and there are huge trends that are happening. For example, need for clean and affordable food, environmental cleanup and restoration, wealth equality, more conscious capitalism. We need more human connection. We need more affordable education, more transparency, more equal opportunity. And if that feels like it's a big thing to think about, then think about, what do the people in my communities need? You could, whatever profession you're in, whatever community you live in, think about the people around you and what do they need, and start from your, in essence, like your world. Look at what people need there, and then After you've analyzed that area, then the last segment we're going to take a look at is your values. This is also something that is missing from the Japanese original Ikigai. So I'm calling my framework the Ikigai Plus, which includes additional items that I feel we're missing. So the last area that we're going to look at is your values. So I'm going to have I'm going to read through all the values, and I'm going to have you pick your top 5 values, so that whatever categories or potentials you come up with from these areas that we've gone through, you can make sure that whatever you pick also fits your values. So the values that you're going to pick from could be security, freedom, challenge, intimacy, beauty, family, integrity, intelligence, honesty, inner peace, learning, creativity, environment, success, adventure, comfort, giving service to others, achievement, health, joy, courage, spirituality, personal growth, freedom with your time, love, passion, friends, respect, being the best, fitness, play, empowerment, independence, leadership. So for me, for example, the top 5 were freedom, creativity, learning, adventure, and personal growth. So now we have gone through all of the different questions for the Ikigai Plus formula, and I'm going to show you. I wrote my answers down to all of these categories that we've just gone through, and I organized it so that I could see the trends that were happening that I totally was not even seeing until I did this exercise. So hold on a second, I will come back and I will show you the sheet that I came up with and the trends that I saw for me, and then you can do the same for you, and I think you will be amazed at what you find. Okay. All right. So here is the chart that I came up with. So here on the left side, you will see the columns for passion. So adult, me as an adult, my passions. Me as a kid, my passions. What I haven't let myself try yet. So things I want to try. People who inspire me and why they inspire me. And then regrets. And initially, I wrote these in different order because I just wrote what came to me in every single area of these, but then I organized them and I color-coded the different areas that belong together. So green, for example, anything that has to do with writing, songwriting, creating something from scratch, or writing poems, writing a book. Tony Robbins wrote one of my favorite books. So anything that has to do with writing or songwriting or writing is in green. And then the next category, where there were several things showing up in the same sort of category, was performing. So that's all in yellow. So we have doing videos. Acting, I used to act and do emceeing as a kid. I used to sing. I used to be obsessed with playing piano. What haven't I let myself try it? It's acting, singing in front of audiences, speaking in front of large crowds. And who inspires me from Tony Robbins and Janis Joplin? Okay, raw emotion, full self-expression, inspiration. Those were the words that came to me from looking at why do these people inspire me? And regrets, yellow here, that I quit performing. So writing, performing, and then look at the blue. So my one of my passions as adult is inventing crazy things and new businesses. combining weird ideas, thinking outside of the box, and working for myself. And so on the passions area, we see like 3 trends. And then also we have the last trend, which is baking, which I loved as a kid, which I love as an adult. Okay, so now we move on to the skills area, and we look at the same trends. So again, in green, we have writing and analyzing business plans. We have songwriting. We have simplifying and summarizing information. Then on the performance side, we have playing piano, singing, and music production, audio production. And in blue, we have lots more blue here in the skills section. So we have starting a new business, finance and accounting, financial models, thinking outside of the box, seeing different perspective to a problem, quick decision maker, and I have hacked my own productivity. So these are, the blue is sort of like entrepreneurial or business skills that kind of belong together. So then we get to, what can I get paid for? So the first question was, what have I been paid for before? So songwriting, writing, analyzing business plans. And in blue, we have here, what have I been paid for before? Finance, starting a new business, and e-learning, and creating online courses. I can get paid for that. And then we go to, what does the world need? So again, on the writing side, the world needs more human connection. So I can create meaningful songs with important messages and hope. On the entrepreneurial side, I can create what is needed is affordable education. So I can create online classes and write books that help shift the way people see themselves and the world. And self-empowerment, I can create online classes that teach people how to stop being victims and create new lives for themselves. On the wealth inequality side, I can help people start their own businesses and create wealth with their intellectual property. And lastly, I can help people who are stuck in jobs that they hate. So those are all in the blue area. And then lastly, let's look at my values. So freedom, creativity, learning, adventure, and personal growth. So 3 of these clearly fit. So freedom, being my own boss, entrepreneurship, creativity, that's the green is writing, songwriting, creating. And adventure is yellow because it has to do with performing, raw emotion, acting, all of the speaking in front of people, etc. And if you look at the ikigai, at the beginning we were talking about how ikigai is a verb, to do something, not the end goal of something, but the process of. So this also, I can also color code these very well, because the green, which is writing, songwriting, it is to create. Performing and full self-expression, that is to delight. And then building businesses, starting businesses, etc., entrepreneurship, that is to build. So I can find these colors everywhere in the map, in the different areas, and I would not have even realized that there were so many different connections hadn't I gone through this process for myself and seen, okay, let's put all the items that belong to the category of writing or reading or creating something in one color. Let's put all of the items that have to do with performing or being in front of people or acting or emotions, etc. Put those in one color, because then you can really start seeing the trends and where you find the same color or the same topics in all of these different segments. That's where you find your special purpose for being on this earth, and that's where you find your purpose. So I hope this was a useful exercise for you, and I really hope you go through this in detail with your own skills, passions, what you can get paid for and what does the world need, and make sure that you really, because this is how you discover the treasure of you. So I hope this was useful, and do the work. And I would love to know in the comments below, or you can email me. I would love to know what you find out and what you discover for yourself from this exercise. Thank you, and I will see you next week. Bye.